Yeah, I went to the York School here, the old one. That's now a health clinic. And I went there in grade 1.
Your times table, that was known as just like a rhyme, parrot fashion.
But we had more competition with the other state schools because we used to travel from school to school in the bus to Beverley, Brookton, Pingelly, and we had a little saying, we are the kids of York, we live on bread and pork. We may not win, but we never give in. We are the kids of York. And we often didn't win, but we loved going to from across the country to the sports events. 2 2s are 4, 3 2s are 6, 4 2s are 8, 5 2s are 10, 6 2s are 12.
I mean, at school when we were young, it was always the Catholic kids who went to the Catholic school and the kids who went to the local school.
And twain for me.
Catholic dogs sitting on logs eating frogs and prodding dogs or whatever it was. There was always chanting and ribbing each other all the time.
Yeah. And sometimes it was good-natured and sometimes it wasn't all that
Quite
nice.
a bit of the time it wasn't good-natured.
But I had a wonderful grade 1 teacher that took the time to say hello to all her pupils. Fantastic teacher. She didn't care what colour you were, but she said hello.
The Albanians that are in town at the moment, and predominant landowners in the town too, started school with myself, and while they could speak English, they had no understanding of the written word at all. And they were pillarised by the teachers, classified as dumb because they couldn't understand what they were being told. And that went through for a number of years. And far from being dumb, in fact, they're very, very intelligent, but they could not, and the teachers didn't accept or understand that they couldn't, because they could speak English, why couldn't they write it?
We got held up with a woman with a shotgun on the bus going to school one day. In the middle of the street, the double-barrel shotgun. Don't stand there, stop. Because the bus used to take the groceries out, and the bread and the newspaper used to take, they'd chuck them all out, so we'd find a muddy puddle to chuck it in there. And this woman, the bus had gone by, and the bus hadn't stopped to give her her groceries. So on the way back, she made sure it was going to stop, so she stood in the middle of, she was gone in the head, and so she stood in the middle of the road with a shotgun. And we stopped.
If we came late, we got the cane. So, we used to catch the bus in, and sometimes the bus would miss us, so we'd have to walk. And it must be about 5 k's now to the school to where the York Reserve is.
Our school bus used to pick up some Aboriginal children just out of York at what was called the Aboriginal Reserve. And this reserve had all these humpies on it. And a lot of them were made out of tar drums, the drums that the tar had been used for building the roads, and they'd been cut open, and bush shacks. And we used to pick them up on the bus, but they weren't allowed to sit down. They were only ever allowed to stand down there. Maybe there wasn't enough room, I don't really remember, but I used to think, oh, you poor people.
I remember being at Sunday school at the Methodist Church, and the minister would say, and I have to announce that we have, how did he put it, I can't remember, but he said we have taken so-and-so and so-and-so children to Magumba Mission.
Is that right? I can't remember any of that.
Yes, it was, because their parents couldn't look after them, and they're at the mission being looked
so
after.
you actually heard.
Yes.
I don't remember that
I do remember. And so I was a little girl at the time. I thought, oh, yes, they're looking
nice.
after them. That's nice.
Yes,
Had no idea.
Yeah.
When we came shopping in York here from the reserve, we would have to be watching where these big black cars are. because they was hanging around to pick us kids up to take us away. And when we see them, we would run. And we'd run all around this York town to get out and run. Over barbed wire fence, rip our skin, pull our hair, double G's or whatever, because we never had good shoes. And sometimes we were bare feet. So we had to run to get away from Mr. Neville. And that happened, you know, for a long time.
By the time I was 7, I was taken away. You know, I was taken away to a mission, so I'm just repeating the cycle of my grandmother.